What is going on, you guys? Good news today. We were able to do a little swap with a buddy to get a couple of different KeyForge decks. So we're going to give you a KeyForge deck analysis, and we have got the second of Loboroad. Now this one is nice because this one has two different houses that I didn't have before. This one has Dis and Mars and Shadows, and while I've already seen a lot of Shadow stuff, this is my first deck that has Dis and Mars. So we're going to break it down and take a look at it. So first we're going to look at Shadows, and we've got an artifact here called Customs Office. Now this is a location. This is the first location I've seen. But it comes out and your opponent must pay you 1 amber in order to play an artifact. Artifacts are just so important because they're not as easy to get rid of, and they still give you that constant bonus anytime you declare that faction. So this one's really nice if you can get it out first turn. This is the only artifact we have for Shadows, though. Next, we're going to look at creatures. We have Dodger. We have actually 2 copies of Dodger. And Dodger's a 5 power, steals 1 when he fights, which is always nice. Not too flashy, but you know, stealing is always a good thing. We have Bad Penny, who's one of my favorite Shadow creatures. Only 1 power, but every time she's destroyed, you can return her to your hand. So she's just good to get out there and keep having her out there. We have a new one that I hadn't seen before, the Macis Asp, or Macus Asp. I think it would be Macis, I think. Macis Asp, 3 power, and it's got Skirmish, so when it's attacking, it's not going to take damage in return. And Poison. So definitely this is a creature killer right there, no doubt. Next up, Silvertooth. Silvertooth is a 2 power, but enters play ready. Always a nice ability to be able to enter play ready. And then we have Shadow Self. Really cool creature for a number of reasons. So Shadow Self, power 9, incredibly strong, right? But it deals no damage when fighting. That means defending or attacking. Damage dealt to non-specter creatures is dealt to Shadow Self instead. Neighbors. No, I'm sorry, non-specter neighbors. So basically, whoever you put on his left and right, he's going to take all damage for them. And the important thing about this is it's not just damage from combat, it's also spells. So if you've got a creature that's like weak, that really needs to stay alive, you can put it right next to Shadow Self and keep it alive, at least for a turn or two, generally. I mean, it takes a really significant effort for somebody to try to kill a creature that's next to a Shadow Self. Next, we've got our actions. We're going to start off, we've got Relentless Whispers. This one's always nice. It's 2 damage to a creature. It's got the amber on it too. So 2 damage to a creature, and if it kills that creature, you steal 1. So you can gain 2 amber potentially from that. Always a really good ability. Speaking of damage to creatures, we've got Poison Wave, another amber card, and that's going to give us 2 damage to each creature. Always good when you're trying to clear out the board. And we've got, this is a really interesting one here, Imperial Trader. This one gives you an amber, but when you play it, you look at your opponent's hand, you may choose and purge a Sanctum card in it. Now that might seem awfully restricted because it only is going to purge a Sanctum card. But if you got to look at what else this card does, because it is really strong against Sanctum, no doubt. But it also gives you an amber, so it's already good right there. But it's also, it lets you look at your opponent's hand. Regardless of whether or not you want to choose and purge a Sanctum card, or whether they even have Sanctum cards, it's still telling you everything that's in your opponent's hand. And that's really important. It lets you know, oh, do I want to play all these creatures? Because he's got something in there that's going to kill them all. You know, so it just, you know, this one is, it seems like it's really weak if you're not going up against Sanctum, but it's still strong against everything. It's just even stronger against Sanctum. Next, we've got another amber card. Too much to protect. Steal all but 6 of your opponent's amber. This would have been really helpful. I played a deck the other day that they had done something, and they killed all the creatures on the board, and they gained an amber for each creature killed that way, as long as they didn't have damage on it. And they went from basically from 0 to almost 18 amber in 1 turn, and that would have been a really nice one just to steal. Oh, I'll take the other 12 that you've got there. And then Ghostly Hand. This one has 2 amber on it, which is pretty good for Shadows. If your opponent has exactly 1 amber, steal it. So good early game card, because this can get you from 0 to 3 potentially on maybe your first or second turn, depending on how it goes. Now we're going to be looking at our discards, and the discards here are very interesting. So first we got an artifact called Lash of Broken Dreams, and this is a weapon. And it gives you the action of keys cost +3 during your opponent's next turn. I like this card for a number of reasons. For one, this is one way to deal with key charge, you know, and things like that. It can make your opponent, if they're trying to surprise you with a surprise key, you're going to make them really pay for it. But it's also, if you run into an opponent who has a real strong power turn and they're able to gain, you know, like 10 amber or whatever, you play this. Now they're going to forge that key, but they're going to pay 9 for it, or maybe even more than that, depending on what else you have. So yeah, you can make them spend a lot more mana, or I'm sorry, a lot more amber to forge that key. Next is the Dominator Bauble. I love this Dominator Bauble. It's an action that says use a friendly creature. It doesn't have to be a dis creature. So if you have a bunch of dis stuff out there, maybe you've got one, you know, really nice shadow creature that's out there, you can still do dis and activate other creatures. So just being able, anything that lets you activate outside of your house, or your clan, I really like. We're going to move on to creatures now. Dis has a lot. Dis has like 8 creatures in this deck, which is nuts. First off, we have 3 copies of the Charette. So here's Mr. Charette. 4 power, so already strong there. And when you play it, you capture 3 amber. Really solid creature right there. Great way to stall, and also a moderately powered creature. 4 is not bad, and I mean, it's enough to get past a lot of the armor values that are on creatures. So 4 is strong, but capture 3, I love it. That's great. We have the Dust Imp, which is actually a really cool creature. Destroyed, you gain 2. So it's power 2, a small little creature, but when they kill it, you benefit from it. So this is a way for you to, maybe you're only at 5 amber, and then your opponent ends up doing something to kill it, and now all of a sudden you're, you know, surprise forging a creature, or rather forging a key. We have the Guardian Demon. Oh, this is such a nasty creature here. 4 power, play Fight or Reap, heal up to 2 damage from a creature, deal that amount of damage to another creature. So this is just sick, because not only is it a Fight and Reap ability, it's also a play ability. This is one of those, I love creatures that have play abilities, but this is one you can just keep using over and over. He's going to heal your creatures, he can throw that damage to another creature. It's just really nice. We have Eater of the Dead. I really like this one too. There's just so much nastiness in this faction for these creatures that are in this deck too. Also power 4. So again, yeah, I'm starting to see a lot more stronger creatures than I'm accustomed to. For the 2 decks I got, I had a lot of 1s and 2s, and we're seeing a lot more stronger creatures over here. So power 4. It's got Fight and Reap. You can purge a creature from a discard pile. If you do, put a +1 power counter on Eater of the Dead. It doesn't have to be your discard pile. This is something you're going to go after creatures in your opponent's discard pile. They're not going to get them back when they filter through their decks again, and you're going to keep getting stronger and stronger. Insane. And let's Fight or Reap. We've got Toxin. It's got a Reap ability and makes your opponent discard a random card from their hand. I mean, that's just great. And then Stealer of Souls. It's power 6. After an enemy creature is destroyed, fighting Stealer of Souls, purge that creature and gain 1 amber. You still do have to survive to trigger this ability though, so if a 7 power or another 6 comes after you, I don't think you're going to be able to trigger that ability. You have to survive to trigger any of your after fight abilities. We have 2 actions. Here we go. We've got Fear, and this one is just really good. Return an enemy creature to its owner's hand. This is just one of those things that's nice, when, especially when they get enchantments on that creature or something that just make it, you know, hard to deal with. And Tendrils of Pain. We've got an amber on that one, and it's an action. This, you know, the more board clearing ability we have with damage cards, the better. So deal 1 damage to each creature. Deal an additional 3 to each creature if your opponent forged a key on their previous turn. So this one can be 4 damage to each creature, which is really nice. And if they did forge a key on their previous turn, chances are they probably have some creatures out there that they were reaping with. And now it's time to look at Mars. I was really anxious to get my hands on this deck to really check out some of the Mars cards too. Mars looks like a really interesting faction. So Biomatrix Backup, this is the only upgrade we have in the deck, and it has an amber on it, and it gives the creature the Destroyed ability. You may put this creature into its owner's archive. So it lets you recycle a creature as well as build up to a bigger hand, because archive cards will you'll be able to get them on your next turn. So that's always nice. We have 1 artifact for the Mars, the Mother Gun. And the Mother Gun is got the action, reveal any number of Mars cards from your hand, deal damage to a creature equal to the number of Mars cards revealed this way. It was great, like maybe first action of your round, like, oh, I have 4 Mars cards in hand. But it can be weak or strong, but the problem is you really have to set this up. And while it sounds really, really powerful at first, you know, if you have maybe a hand 6 Mars cards in hand, well, what are you going to do during your turn? Like, do you want to keep shooting that? Because eventually you're going to want to play some cards. So it seems to me, looking at cards like this, that Mars is a very delicate and difficult faction to play, because you need to it has a lot of synergy with itself, and you need to, you know, when you play those cards, it can be, you know, you can potentially lose some of that synergy. So things just seem to have to work out, you know, in a very particular way. Now, I think there's going to be some powerful Mars decks when they get, you know, cards that let you synergize better with, you know, with a different faction, or something that lets you kind of get it out of your hand and draw other cards. I think that's kind of going to be the way to go. All right, we've got some creatures. We got 5 creatures for Mars. We have the Blippeep. Yes, he's a creature, power 2, but when you reap with him, the next Mars creature you play enters play ready, which is always nice. We have a bunch of things that synergize with readied creatures. For example, the Yixili Marauder, he gains a +1 power for each amber on him, and when you play him, you capture an amber for each ready Mars creature. So he's got a lot of synergy that's going on. He definitely synergizes with Mars. Now, granted, normally Mars are going to come into play exhausted, but if he can come into play ready, then he's going to at least get one for himself. However, if you reap with this guy, then he's not ready. So it's tricky. You almost need some of these. You know, it's almost like you need actions that are going to let you put creatures into play ready. We've got the Yixilix Dominator, and he's got Taunt, and he's power 9, and he's got an armor, so he's a really good creature. But he comes into play stunned, and so when you're stunned, the only thing you can do when next time you were to activate that creature is exhaust them and get rid of the stun token. So basically they have to charge up. Zorg, same thing. He enters play stunned. He's also power 7. Before the fight, and this is basically the same as a fight condition. So when you're attacking with him, before you fight, you can stun the creature that he fights and each of that creature's neighbors. That's nasty. And then we have hold on, we can get this. Felix the Disintegrator. Felix, yes. He's elusive, and he has the action, your opponent loses an amber for each other friendly Mars creature. That's a really nice one to be able to put into play ready as well. And let's look at some of these actions, because the actions are going to be good. First, this one's really strong. We're going to start off with this strong action here called Phosphorus Stars. We actually have 2 of these. And when you play this one, you stun each non-Mars creature. But you have to gain 2 chains. This one's great if your opponent has like lots of creatures out, especially if they're all from different houses. Or different factions, because then they're going to have to spend so many turns trying to unstun everybody. It's a great way, and of course you choose when to use it, but you obviously only want to use it when you've got Mars creatures out, if you can't help it. All right, we've got Squawker. When we play this action, we can ready a Mars creature or stun a non-Mars creature. This card is just great because first off, it's letting you do 2 things. It's also giving you an amber. But it's letting you ready one of your creatures or stun another creature. Always going to be useful for you, especially since you've got stuff that you want to have ready with all those creatures. We've got Soft Landing. What was I talking about? Wasn't I just talking about actions that would let you play something ready? So here it is. Play. The next creature or artifact you play this turn enters play ready. Amazing card. Great synergy with the Mars stuff in this deck. And then we have Psychic Network. When you play this one, you steal an amber for each friendly ready Mars creature. Gotta have ready Mars creature. You can steal a lot of amber this way, but there's only 5 Mars creatures here, so it's like there's a little bit of give and take. I think the way to make Mars work here is to get rid of all the other stuff in your hand. It doesn't want to combo with other factions as much. It kind of wants to just get those factions out. And it wants to combo only with itself. I guess Mars are isolationists in this game. So this has been the second of Loboroad. It's a pretty cool deck. I love having new factions, and it just makes me even more anxious for this game to finally come out, because I just want to get so many decks and find a couple that I really enjoy and like play them over and over again and really learn them well. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button as well as that bell for alerts, because we're going to have a lot of more KeyForge content coming and you don't want to miss any of that. And we also have another deck to break down, as well as, you know, more future KeyForge battles, duels, all of that great stuff. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And don't forget to check out Crabbok.com, as well as hop in my Discord and say hi. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.